Action cartooning, a streamlined cartoony art style. Perfect for animation, retro superhero comics, and pinup art. But who are these current day masters of action cartooning? And where did this super cool retro art style originate from? But more importantly, how can we learn from this art style and incorporate it into our own drawings and comic art designs? Can we draw like that? Well, stick around. Let's find out. So, what is action cartooning? It's certainly a broad term that could encompass so many different art styles. It's also a term not widely used, but it's most often recognized, especially in terms of the DC animated universe. Thanks to the brilliant designs by Bruce Timm back on the original Batman the Animated Series. After the success of Tim Burton's 1989 Batman film, Warner Brothers set to work on an animated series with similar dark and grounded tones to the movie. And Bruce Timm immediately seized the opportunity to pitch the studio his version of Batman, a design aesthetic full of strong influences from some of his favorite comic books and animation projects, like Max Fleischer's Superman from the 40s, or the amazing character designs of Alex Toth from shows like Johnny Quest or The Herculoids or Space Ghost. But Tim also drew some influences from Archie Comics artist Dan DeCarlo with his Kirby cartoony pinup art, combined with a heavy dose of Jack Kirby for the perfect superhero blend. Complete with a retro Art Deco vibe, Tim had created an instantly recognizable design style, a unique style that inspired a generation of artists to rethink the superhero mold, taking what Tim had created and streamlining it even more. Artists like Shane Glines, Ben Caldwell, Sean Galloway, and Darwin Cook, to name just a few. So, what can we learn from this streamlined art style? So, let's unpack it. And with a bit of practice, you'll be designing your own action cartoony heroes and pinups in no time. And don't worry, we'll get back to our DC Rivals design studies next week with two brand new characters. So let's begin with the character structure and the S curve. So I'll quickly wrap up my Captain America and Black Widow from earlier, and I'll use those as structure-based design models. The first thing you'll notice is that the male and female figure designs have completely different structure models. The heroic male figure is traditionally much larger than the female, with broad shoulders and much taller. Now, if we break them down even further to their most basic visual shapes, they'll look something like this. Male figures are widest at the shoulders, while female figures tend to be widest at the hips. Very similar in many ways to our Marvel Rivals character breakdowns. But what about that S curve? Well, obviously it represents the shape of the spine in their standing pose, but it's also a reoccurring theme throughout the line work of these style of characters. And they should have a sense of flow, moving downwards from the largest, widest shapes to the smallest and thinnest. How many S-curves can you spot in these Batman character designs? Another common design trait you might want to keep in mind when you're designing your own action cartoony characters is the fact that less is more. Less line work, less detail, no cross-hatching, just keep the overall design simple. And much of that theory comes from the idea that these designs need to be animation friendly. During the production of Batman or Justice League Unlimited, the animation was provided by artists overseas, drawing everything by hand. And this predated all computer 2D animation like Harmony. Simple designs equaled cleaner and more efficient animation. Corners or curves? It's a design aesthetic that's completely up to you. For this Captain America and Black Widow design, I've given them sharp corners and edges, which gives them a slightly darker tone, something more action-oriented, maybe a little bit edgy. But now, let's take the exact same base designs and just round out all the edges. I will even change it to Superman and Wonder Woman. But see how much softer these designs look? Almost very cartoony and very kid-friendly. The difference is in the edges or the curves. Another thing these cartoony designs heavily affect is how we approach anatomy. The muscle groups are simplified and stylized in a way that we still recognize them as being correct in their placement and aesthetic. The torso on the far right is much more in line with a representation of actual anatomy or standard comic book style anatomy. while the other two cartoony designs are much more simplified and streamlined. Captain America in the center has a edgy, more sharper anatomy design. He still looks strong, but he looks more solid. While Superman looks more puffy and kid friendly with his rounded, muscular design. Well, I think that about covers my action cartoony character design video. I hope you liked it. I hope you found some inspiration for your own designs. And as I said, next week we'll get back to designing our DC rivals. And on screen, I'll leave you with my action cartoony designs for Buck Rogers and his sidekick Wilma, a super retro sci-fi serial comic book design from the 30s, 40s, and even the 70s had a crazy show. Anyway, he's a fun character, and I think he fits perfect for this retro cartoony design. So please leave me a comment and let me know what you think of this video. Please hit the like button, and if you haven't, subscribe, and I'll continue to create videos like this as well as the DC rivals and other things. And if you like these type of tutorials, then please let me know in the comments if there's something specific you want to see me cover in the future. And yeah, 2025 should be a lot of fun. Hoping to maybe do some live streams soon. And yeah, thank you so much for all your support so far. Thank you to all the new subscribers. I will see you next week. So, all the best. And yeah, we'll see you soon.